So, hello again. Having just watched the very slick Google video, you've probably got a better kind of idea of what data is available on Google Earth Engine and what potentially you might be able to do with it. I mean, really, it's limited by your imagination for what you can use it for. I mean, the main benefit of the data that is available in Earth Engine is that it's got a large resource of historical remote sensing data, so it goes back for over 40 years for Landsat, remotely sensed visual and near infrared and other kind of data. So this is a great historical resource to look at potential changes in land cover or phenology, or anything else that can be sensed from using satellite data remotely. So those kind of applications could be relevant to your research depending where your research is targeted towards. So it really depends on your questions. Earth Engine also acts as a cloud-based kind of GIS system. I understand you've already done some GIS with James, so hopefully you'll be familiar with what raster and vector data are. I'll go into it. I'll give a little recap of that later on. But you can upload these data sets into Google Earth Engine and use them for analysis, for your own analysis. And this is something we'll look at doing in a little bit. Also, you can access Google Earth Engine using a variety of different applications interfaces. So it can be accessed through a Python application interface. So Python is a scripting language, and that just directly talks to Google Earth Engine or the servers at Google Earth Engine and can pull data out and run the stuff on the servers remotely. The other option is to use the code editor, which is basically a simple kind of IDE or integrated development environment type thing, and that uses JavaScript, which is a different coding language again, which is slightly tricky to learn, but once you kind of get the hang of it, it's okay. So I thought it'd be useful to have a look at a couple of examples, or a single example of what can be done with Google Earth Engine. And a really good example is this global forest change analysis that was undertaken by the University of Maryland in 2014, I think, something like that. I've linked to the papers and blog posts on Google Blog, and also the interactive map here, which is the Earth Engine's part of the map spot. So if we can have a quick look at this. This is a widget developed in Google Earth Engine, which is basically an interactive map setup using with Google Earth Engine code behind it, and this analysis is running live on the servers and producing outputs. So if we scroll in, we can see that forest loss here, this data is using Landsat data to calculate forest change between 2000 and 2018. So if we scroll into Southeast Wales, just because I know Southeast Wales, you can see areas of forest loss highlighted here. So we can see we got the dates associated with it down here as well, telling us it was lost between 2000 and 2017, or in 2018 for some areas. So this is a great resource and a great kind of interactive tool for communicating things about forest loss and landscape change at a truly global scale. So I'd recommend you have a little play with this and a look around at the data. You can change it from forest loss to various other different attributes. You can make it transparent, and something good to have a play with, and a great data set. And I will be using this data set shortly to have a look at forest cover change in some counties in Wales, which is a useful thing to do and can be very useful and interesting for policymakers. So anyway, to get back to the interface, so I'll give you a quick tour of the interface. This is a code editor. This is the integrated development environment for Google Earth Engine. And generally the workflow for analysing data in Google Earth Engine moves from the left to the right. So this is where your inputs sit. This is the algorithms you apply to your inputs using JavaScript. So this is where you would script in JavaScript. And this is where your outputs would appear, either in the console window or in the tasks if you're uploading stuff. So there's some things I've been playing with and uploading recently. And the inspector tab is a query tool where you can click on a layer and it will give you some information. So on the left here, this is the script manager. This is the kind of a rudimentary file management system, so you can keep your scripts in here. You can see my scripts are listed here under users Mike Shearing. Yours obviously will be under your own name, and there's some various scripts of things I've been doing in the past there, and some scripts we'll be working through today under UWE here. The docs here are some examples of functions that can be applied in Google Earth Engine, and the information they're needed to run. So a little bit like the help functions you would get in R for functions. An assets tab, this is where if you upload vector or raster data, these will appear in your assets tab. So if you want to upload a new asset, you would click on the new tab, select the files, and they would appear here. So we'll go through that a little bit later as well. This is where the JavaScript code would appear, and then any outputs could be loaded to the map down here. So this is an interactive map, and you can use satellite-based mapping or thematic map. Yeah, simple click and scroll approach. You've got the usual kind of Google Earth kind of tools. You can also got geometry tools, so you can draw lines, polygons or rectangles using these buttons here, and these also then appear in the script as geometries, or basically simple shapefiles with no information associated with them, so just the geometry information. So if we draw a rectangle there, we can see this has appeared as a polygon in the script, and this can be really useful for various applications. So we'll just delete that. So let's have a look at a simple example then. There's examples of various scripts in this examples tab in the script. These are inbuilt examples within Google Earth Engine, and you can see various different examples here for image collections, which are basically vector data, raster data, sorry, feature collections, which are vector data, functions to produce charts, so you can produce elevation histograms, time series, cloud masking for Landsat data and other remotely sensed data. And this is in the examples here, if we look at the dataset section, you can see there's a lot of datasets available within Google Earth Engine. So if we just pick one of the more obvious ones, let's have a look at some of the Landsat data perhaps. And we want Landsat 8. So this is Landsat 8. This is the latest Landsat, and SR stands for surface reflectance. So this is the corrected top of atmosphere reflectance to surface reflectance. So it's removing the effects of the atmosphere on the imagery. So this is an example code now to just download some Landsat imagery, apply some visual parameters to it, which is basically telling how to explain the data and set the map to the center and display it. So if we have a quick look at this, this will take us to, I think, California, and it's displaying a false color composite of a Landsat image from 2016. And then if we use the inspection tab, you can see we can click on it and get some information on the pixel at that location. And you can see these are the bands in the remote sense image and in the Landsat image, and we can see the various different values associated with those bands in the layer. And there's also some other property information in there. So that's a initial introduction to the code editor. We'll get into some actual coding and manipulating some data in the next video, but I'll stop this one here.